Hello, let's continue the chapter 5.5, part 4. Graph y equals a times sine bx minus c plus d, and y equals a times cosine bx minus c plus d. These two functions are the general function of cosine and sine. Property of the general sine and cosine function. Consider the graph, these two functions, with the b is greater than 0. That means b is positive. That means all of these 7 properties need to satisfy the b is greater than 0. If a function y equals sine negative 5x minus 5, so the b is negative 5, is less than 0. That means we need to use the even and odd function property to make the function into another function with the b is positive. So in the parentheses, in this expression, I can pull out or factor out the negative 1. So in the parentheses, we have 5x plus 5. Because I pull out one negative 1, the sign here changed. And this one is negative sign, 5x plus 5. That means the b here is positive. That's equals 5. Okay, let's see 7 properties. The first one, the amplitude is the absolute value of a. We have learned this. The period is 2 pi over b. We have learned this. Number 3, the phase shift is c over b. The phase shift means the graph will move it horizontally. For example, if I have a function, original function is sine x, and it's the picture like this. For one full so from one period from 0 to 2 pi, so I can also continue to draw it. But if I move it horizontally, maybe to the right or maybe to the left, so that's a phase shift. If I move it to the right, y equals sine x minus pi over 6. That means the graph based on the original shape I need to move because I minus pi over 6. So the first point is not here. It's at the pi over 6. From pi over 6, I would continue to draw my graph. So the graph changed horizontally. This is moved to the right. I need to minus pi over 6. If I move to the right, pi over 6 unit, that means the graph looks like this, sine x plus pi over 6. That means the first point, the starting point is not here. The starting point now is here because I moved to the left pi over 6 unit. So the starting point is here. So let's see how to find the phase shift. They gave you that phase shift is c over b. I can also use the expression inside the parentheses. So bx minus c, I set the bx minus c equals 0. So bx minus c equals 0. And then add c both sides. I have bx equals c, and divided by b both sides. So x equals c over b. This is a phase shift. Some students say I forgot the formula of the phase shift. Just set the expression in the parentheses equals 0 and solve the x. And you see here, they provide the c as minus c. So if minus c, that means we move the whole function from the original function to c unit to the right. If this is plus, we move to the left. Next one, the vertical shift is D. The vertical shift means moving up or down. So if D is positive, here is positive, we move upward. If it's negative, we move downward. For example, this is the sine theta, sine theta or sine x. So if I say D equals 1, so the expression is sine x plus 1. This parenthesis is here. So all of this graph is moving upward 1 unit. So here is my original, the first point, and then moving up like this. If D is -1, sine x minus 1 is moving downward. This is 1. So going up, going down, going up. Okay, let's see next property. One full cycle is given on the interval bx minus c. This one is between 0 and 2 pi. What we have learned, let me clean this area. What we have learned before, that for the sine of x, one full cycle is from 0 to 2 pi. So the x is between 0 to 2 pi. Right now, this one changed to the bx minus c. So I can put my bx minus c here, and then I still use this full cycle interval, that is 0 and 2 pi. And let's solve the x. So add c in these three expressions. Bx is greater than or equal to c, less than or equal to 2 pi plus c. And divided by b, all of these expressions. So x is greater than c over b, less than 2 pi plus c over b. That means the starting point for this expression or this function is the phase shift, that is c over b. So the phase shift is the starting point for the full cycle. We have learned that if we have the starting point, and then we have the period, which is 2 pi over b, and we let this one times 1/4. So the first point is c over b, and then plus this, that's pi over 2b. And then this is second point. And then third point, I continue to add 1/4 of the period. And then we can find the 5 key points and draw our graph, our function. Let's see, what's the next property? It's a little messy here. Let me clean this. The next property is the domain is what? Domain is negative infinity to infinity, because this is the xy. Oh, so this is a cosine sine function. So we can choose any kind of x on the x-axis. That means all real numbers I can choose for my domain. What's the range? the range is negative absolute value of A plus D. That's the vertical shift. Between this and the absolute value of A, that's the amplitude, plus D. We can explain this in the following examples. So for example here, let's clean this area. So read the question. You can pause the video and read the question. Here we see y equals cosine 2x plus pi over 2. We have learned that cosine looks like this. For one cycle, you can continue to draw. It doesn't matter. So for one cycle, full cycle, that looks like this. This is the starting point. That's the maximum. And then that's the 5 points we need to find. We need to identify the amplitude and the period. For this expression, A is 1, is here is 1, and B is 2. C is negative pi over 2. Why? Because in the expression here, it's very messy here. So in this expression, we need to minus C. And that means if here is plus the C's value, we need to add a negative sign for that. So for this one, there is a plus sign here. That means the C equals negative pi over 2. And if here is plus, what's the meaning of that? That means the graph will be moved to the left. So remember, if plus, that's the left. If minus, that's moved to the right. Okay, we have the ABC. A1, B is 2, C is negative pi over 2, and D is 0 because we don't have anything after this cosine function. Okay, so amplitude is the absolute value of A equals 1. Period equals 2 pi over B. That's pi. And how about the phase shift? Phase shift is C over B, or solve the expression in the parentheses. That's 2x plus pi over 2 equals 0, and minus pi over 2 both sides. We have 2x equals negative pi over 2 divided by 2 both sides. We have x equals negative pi over 4. So this is a phase shift. And let's see the one full period. So one full period, we just let the expression in the parentheses is greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 2 pi, and then solve the x. When we solve this, after solving this, we have x is greater than pi over 4. Yes, that's a phase shift. And then it's less than 3 pi over 4. So we can draw a graph from negative pi over 4 to the 3 pi over 4. And remember that we need to find the x 5 point and y value. So the first one is the phase shift. That's the pi over 4. So remember, for this kind of general function, the first point should be the phase shift. And then next point, I need to find the period, the 1/4 of the period. So we learned that the period is pi, 1/4 times pi, that's pi over 4. So the second value of the x must be the first one plus pi over 4, that's 0. And then from 0, add pi over 4. That's pi over 4. From pi over 4, we add pi over 4. Pi over 4. That's pi over 2. Pi over 2. And the pi over 2 plus pi over 4. That's 3 pi over 4. And how about the y's value? We have learned the first one must be the maximum for the cosine. So cosine, the maximum, that's 1. So here is 1. And remember, here is -1 because amplitude is 1. So it's 1 and -1. So this is 1. There is no vertical stretch or vertical shrink. That means the maximum value is 1, minimum value is -1. Okay, so for zero, that's the second point, that's 0. Then third point. Third point need to be the minimum value. Minimum value is -1. And next one is pi over 2. That's 0 because you see from the original function, original graph is here. And next one is the last point. That's the maximum value again, that's 1. So we have this point. So let's plot. The first point is here, second point is here, and the third point is pi over 4. It should be -1 is here. And then next point is pi over 2. That's 0. And then next point, 3 pi over 4, maximum value. So the graph looks like this. I hope it looks better. Okay, so the graph is similar like this. I think they just let us to graph the function. So that's it. And here you will see the picture much better looking than my graph. And this shows you that the starting point is here, and then find the 5 points. We line them up with a smooth curve. We got this graph. Okay, let's see next example. Next example, it has the d plus 5. So let's see. First, we must have a graph in our mind that this is a cosine again. So the cosine looks like this. This is one period. And then later, let's figure out how to graph it. So first step, we need to find the A, B, C, and D. A is 2, B is 4, C is 3 pi, D is 5. Amplitude is absolute value of A, that's 2. Period is 2 pi over B. It's pi over 2. The phase shift, that's our first starting point. The C over B, or solve the expression 4x minus 3 pi equals 0, and add 3 pi both sides. 4x equals 3 pi, x equals 3 pi over 4. So this is the phase shift. Vertical shift is 5. That's a D. It's moving upward 5 units. Solve the inequality. So in the parentheses, this part, we put it here and let it greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 2 pi, and solve this inequality, solve the x. Add 3 pi, at 3 pi. And so this side is 3 pi less than or equal to 4x less than or equal to 5 pi. And all of them divided by 4. Divided by 4, and we have this. So you see the starting point, that's the phase shift. So next step, we multiply 1/4 by the period. So this is divide the one full cycle into 4 equal parts. That's pi over 8. Let's see our point x value. The first point is 3 pi over 4. And second one is 3 pi over 4 add pi over 8. So let's count it here. 3 pi over 4. That's the 6 pi over 8 plus pi over 8. 7 pi over 8. Next one, this one, plus pi over 8. That's 8 pi over 8. That's a pi. So pi plus pi over 8 is 9 pi over 8. 9 pi over 8 plus pi over 8 is 10 pi over 8. So let me check if there's no mistake. I think there's no mistake. If you want to simplify this one, you can say that's 5 pi over 4. So 5 pi over 4. Okay, what is the y's value? Because this expression we need to check, it has the amplitude, which is 2. It's stretched vertically. So before, the expression here is 1, but we stretch it to this. So this is 2. This is -2. So let's see. Let me see the expression. So right now, it's 2 for the maximum, because for the cosine, the first point is the maximum. That's 2. And then second one, that's 0. And pi is minimum, that's -2. And then that's 0. And then that's the any point to the maximum, that's +2. Is that the end? No, because we didn't talk about the vertical shift. After we having this kind of points, that's not the final points, because all of these y need to be moved to upward 5 units. Sorry. So 2 is not 2. We need to add 5. 0 now is not 0 here. It's 5. Add 5. Add 5. Add 5. That means I can make a new point x, y, 3 pi over 4. That's 7. 7 pi over 8. The y's value is 5. Pi, that's 3. 9 pi over 8, that's 5. 5 pi over 4, that's 7. So right now, these are the points we are looking for. So let's graph it. If I have a graph like this, the first point is not starting at 0, it's 3 pi over 4. And it's 7. For example, this is 7. This is 7, the first point. And then, well, I'd better to have more space. Let's see. Let's move the graph. Okay. Yeah, I have more space. So clean up this. Draw a nice picture here. The first point is 3 pi over 4. And then I see the last point in one full period is 5 pi over 4. And then the middle one is pi. And I plot other x value, 7 pi over 8. This is 9 pi over 8. And then assume this is 7. This is the first point. 3 pi over 4, 7. And then second one is 7 pi over 8. And the y value is 5. Let's assume this is 5. 5. And then next one, 3. 3. And then 5. Then this is 7. And use a smooth line them up. So the graph should be like this. You can continue to draw. It doesn't matter. You can continue to draw. And this is one full period from 3 pi over 4 to 5 pi over 4. Okay, let's see. Yes, this is a step-by-step picture. And then move 5 units up. Then that's the, okay, what's the range of this graph? So after graphing this picture, I see, oh, not this one, sorry. This is our graph for the function. So when you see this, what is the range? Range is the y value. So all the x value, I can choose all kind of x value. So x is in -1, negative infinity to infinity. Y value is between 7 to 3. So the range should be positive 3 to 7. I can choose any real numbers in between 3 and 7. Okay, next example, y equals 3 times 3 sine negative pi over 4x minus pi over 2. Is the phase shift to the left or the right? So we learned that if here the sign here, after we seeing the sign here, we can tell that's moving right or left. But here, remember, the b is negative. We need to convert it to a positive b. So y equals 3 times, factor out the -1. -1 times pi over 4x plus, because this is -1, we factor out. So we need to change the sign here, plus pi over 2. And then 3 times, because sine is odd function, so it's negative 3 times sine pi over 4x plus pi over 2. That means the sign here is positive. That's moving left. So this function means it is asking is the phase shift to the left or right. So this is left. And what is the phase shift? So pi over 4x plus pi over 2 equals 0. So minus pi over 2 both sides. Pi over 4x equals negative pi over 2. And multiply 4 both sides. So pi x equals negative 2 pi. And then divided by pi both sides, I have x equals negative 2. So the phase shift, this is equals negative 2. Okay, this is the video of the chapter 5.5 part 2. If you have any question, please contact me. Okay, have a good day.